Don't think. Feel. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory. You understand?
Yes, indeed. Okay, today's video here, I want to talk about intermediate level. Okay, I've gotten this question like I don't know how many times this year, the past few months. A lot of people have been asking me, so you always talk about intermediate, you always talk about intermediate. What is intermediate? What is your definition of intermediate? Now we know everyone has their own definition for these terms. This is what's interesting. Everyone has their own definition of what intermediate is, what fluency is, what advanced is, and all this stuff. But what I mean by intermediate, my definition of intermediate, is when someone can basically, I'll say they basically feel comfortable. When they feel comfortable, they're on at least an intermediate level. Now, what does comfortable mean? Comfortable is if I'm okay. I'm out in a restaurant. Let's say I'll use Chinese for example. I'm in a Chinese restaurant. Okay, I can go in there and one of the waitresses can come up to. If they knew that I speak Chinese, they come up to me. They say something to me, and I can understand right off the. Whatever they say to me, I can respond back without having to think. Without having to think. Right away. I may not be able to talk about politics or religion or anything of that matter, but I'm able to speak with flowy conversations without having to think that much. That's intermediate level. When you're able to converse with someone without having to think, you're putting big constructions together. Okay. On top of that, the native speaker can understand everything you're saying. That's intermediate level. That's my definition of it. Hell, that's even fluency when you're able to do that. So that's what I mean by intermediate level. Once I get to a level where I'm able to just speak to the native speaker when I feel comfortable and they speak back to me and I can understand at least 90% of what they're saying, I believe that's intermediate level. To some people will say intermediate levels when you can talk about politics and all that stuff. I don't believe that. And like I said, everyone has their own definition, but this is my definition. Okay, and I really didn't start getting into these different levels until I took a placement test. I took a placement test when I first started taking classes at Ohio State. I took it for Chinese, and they told me that the guy told me I was on the intermediate level, and I didn't really know. I was like, okay, intermediate level, all right. So from there, I was like, okay, well, you know, if this is what intermediate level is, this is the level I want to get on in all my languages. You know, I want to be on this level. Hey, I'm limited in some things, but hey, at least I can communicate with a native speaker. You know, that's the most important for me. So that's what it is. That's my definition. When you're able to pretty much have a conversation with someone, it's flowy, and you're not I mean, everything is just coming out naturally. You know, and then they can understand, of course, understand what you're saying. If they can understand what you're saying, at least 90%. You're all good to be on the intermediate level. So, I think this is a good level to reach, particularly for those who are trying to learn multiple languages. Now, you could go to an advanced level. I mean, that you put a little bit more work in and go to like an upper intermediate to advanced level. I mean, you can get to advanced in a lot of languages, but if you're trying to get to a native level, it's not going to happen if you're studying multiple languages, because you're going to have to spend time in the country. So I think I'm not telling you guys to just follow behind me and say, oh, I want to be on the intermediate level and I'm moving on. This is just something that I do. I want to reach at least intermediate level, between intermediate and advanced level in my language before I move on. This is what I want to do. This is my goal, and I think it's good for those people who are studying multiple languages. So yeah, that's my definition, and I would like to hear other people's definitions of what intermediate level is. So that will conclude this video, and I look forward to you guys' comments or video responses. Thanks for viewing.